So hello, my name is Glenn, and in today's video we're going to be talking about why you should be working in Australia. And I give 5 plus 4 is 9 reasons why you should be considering working in Australia. And if you work in Australia, g'day to you. So the first reason is the high pay. So the minimum wage in Australia is $20.33. I think from memory. Could have Alzheimer's and I could be wrong. But it is about $20. And that increases every year with the inflation rate mostly. And that is set by the Fair Work Ombudsman. So they board members, can't remember who they make up, I think they're business, and government officials, and they recommend a wage increase every year. But this only affects low minimum wage workers. Those who get higher wage than the minimum wage, it doesn't consider that they should get a high increase in their wage. That would depend on your relationship with your employer. But basically, every industry is governed by a minimum wage, and while the minimum wage of $20.33 is the base, it depends on the award and also your level of experience as well. So like my job is a baking, so I work in a bakery. Minimum wage is $20.33, but because I've had quite a long period of experience, 10 plus years, I get, or should get, a higher wage than that. So roughly around about $25 is the going rate for an experienced person in a bakery. But a lot of places don't pay that. So screw baking. Anyway, the wage compared to countries in Europe, the United States, it's comparable with Canada, which in some places it is $20. The UK, it's lower than Australia. So that's a consideration, the high wage that you're going to get in Australia. But there is a caveat, and that is the high cost of living here. So number 2 that we're talking about is the quality of life. So you do have a good quality of life in Australia, in which you can earn, or you do earn money that can sustain you. So the minimum wage is $20.33. That's quite a lot. If you are not overindulging in stuff, then you can survive on that. In Melbourne and Sydney, it's starting to be the case where you cannot, because housing prices have just gone through the roof. In the last year, they've gone up $100,000. So you're talking about rents of between $300 to $500 just for a basic place to stay. And if that's half your wage, then that's going to really affect your quality of life. Now, but if you go to some other places, the quality of life is probably a bit lower. If you go to countryside, you can still get the same stuff as in the city, but they might be more expensive because of transportation costs. They might be cheaper. It just all depends. But the rents will also be cheaper. So, but the basic thing is that the quality of life is actually pretty good when you compare it to other countries, third world countries, second world countries. Quality of life is good. My only experience is Hong Kong. I've never worked there, but my wife, we have friends and family, and they work a lot harder. They have a lot less time for the things that they like to do. They usually work 5.5 days, so they work half a day Saturday. Sometimes they work Sunday. but it's usually over 8 hours, probably 10 to 12 hours. So Hong Kong, the quality of life is a lot lower, but rents are a lot more expensive. The buildings are smaller, and also the minimum wage is only about 35 Hong Kong dollars, which is about $6 in Australia. So the minimum wage is a lot lower. It's only about a quarter of Australia's. So, in the United States, I think the minimum wage is only about $10 Australian, so it's only half of Australia. But food is cheaper over there apparently, and the quality of life is, if you're working, it's probably pretty much the same, but you don't have no health insurance. So this is where we bring in number three, and that is the worker protection. So we're talking about the minimum wage, which is governed by Fair Work. So number 3 is that you have protections with a minimum wage, but you also have Fair Work Australia, which governs any dispute that happens in your workplace. So that is a federal thing. So if you have a problem with your wage that they're paying you, you lodge a dispute with Fair Work Australia. If you have a problem with the OH&S, then you can also contact Fair Work, but there's also state government bodies that do cover that. So the Fair Work they're called ombudsmans, and they cover a lot of things as well. Not only your working, but also there's a financial ombudsman, complain about banks. The postal ombudsman, complain about the post. You got transport ombudsman. I've got a train at the front, and it's annoying. You can complain about train, tram, or bus problems. And there's a lot of other ombudsmans, and they really regulate how businesses and other parties how they function in Australia. So in this case, talk about Fair Work Ombudsman. They regulate the interactions between the employer and the employee. So that's their main function. And every year they do reassess how much the minimum wage is going to be. So that is number 3, the worker protections that we have in Australia, which a lot of countries they might have in theory, but they're not enforceable. In Australia, they're enforceable somewhat. There's been times where it hasn't been enforceable. So one of the bad things is that it's actually pretty much illegal to protest if your business doesn't say you're allowed to. But that's another thing. Let's talk about that another time. So let's talk about number 4. Number 4 is that Australia is pretty much safe. It's not 100% safe. You can't make a country 100% safe. So there have been instances where people have been murdered. People get murdered in every country in the world. But in the workplace, it's pretty much safe. You still have bullying in the workplace. You still have unsafe work practices. But in Australia, we're trying to correct that and make it a lot safer. Also, if you go out at night time, it's pretty safe. I wouldn't say 100%, but you do need to take care of where you go. Like I personally wouldn't go in the city. I personally wouldn't go into a park at night time. You just don't know who's there. There are homeless people, but the homeless people are not the problem. It would be people who have a devious mindset or murderous mindset. So, or maybe they just want to steal from you. So that does go on. That's the way it's always been. But for pretty much, compared to Mexico, it's quite safe. Okay, and this is where we come to number 5. Number 5, fist 5, and that is healthcare. Now, I do, sometimes interact with people from the United States, and they seem to think that their healthcare system is the best. Others in the United States think it's the worst. The UK, universal healthcare system. Yeah, Australia, I don't know much about it, but it seems like Australia's pretty much the same. The Australian healthcare system is pretty much very good. I've got no problem with it. Like when my wife had to go into hospital straight away. If it's not really a life-threatening problem, yeah, you have to wait. If it's a life-threatening problem, nah, you go straight into your ward. They try and get you a place, and that's basically it. The most important cases go in first. If you're going to die there and then, nah, that's it. Oh, you got a broken arm, you can just wait. The broken arm's not going to hurt you. It's not going to kill you. It will hurt you because it bloody hurts breaking your arm. But, if you've been stabbed or if you got poisoned, something like that, if you've had a heart attack, that's it, straight in. This is more important. Your broken arm, yeah, it will heal, but this person has got, minutes left to live if we don't do something. So it's a good thing. It's also not very expensive. When I go to the doctors, I don't pay anything, but when at tax time, you pay, I think it's like 1.5 to 2% of your income on a Medicare levy, and that goes in a pool that funds the hospital system or helps fund. Other taxes will probably be put in to fund that system. And if you're unemployed or if you're on a pension or something like that, you don't pay that. So it's workers that pay that system. So that's another thing. Our healthcare system is the best that I do know, and it's funded by all the taxpayers. Thank you. Okay, and that's where we come to number 6. Number 6? I don't even know how they do in Chinese. They have a different way. I can never remember. But number 6 is we're pretty friendly. I would say so. Like when I actually went for a job interview today. Actually, no, it was a fitness test. But you go in here, you go, hello, g'day, how you going? Oh, that's good. Then you have a little chit chat. And as I was walking out, there's this guy on the table. He just had like a form in front of him. I don't know what he was doing. And then you're like, oh, g'day, mate. How you going? Basically, that's what you do. You pass people in the street. You go, g'day, how you going? G'day, g'day, g'day. Hello. There's a Punjabi guy. Sometimes he walks up the track, the footpath, should I say, that is beside the railway. Sometimes we pass him. I don't know if he speaks English that well, but we're always like, hello, how you going? You wave your hand. That's pretty universal. People know what you're talking about, even if it's not indicative in their culture to wave their hand and say hello. A lot of people have actually they watched foreign TV, would have been influenced by Western culture, which is pretty normal. Cultures influence each other all the time. But, in Australia, be friendly. Australians are pretty much friendly. And if they're not friendly, then really no one likes them, even Australians. And then we got 7, 8, 9. So number 7 is job variety. So there's quite a variety of jobs that you can have in Australia. So we've got tourism, got mining, you've got manufacturing. People say manufacturing doesn't exist. It does exist. It's just not a big part. You got services. No, it's probably not as big as the United States or the UK. The UK is probably missing the mining part. United States, I think the mining part is a lot smaller than Australia. But you do have a wide variety of industries. But in Australia, the acting industry is pretty much non-existent. You have to go to the United States if you want to do that stuff. And also the big tech, that doesn't hit. It's not here. If you want to get involved with companies like Google or Facebook, you're going to have to go over to Europe or the United States because they pretty much don't exist here. Australia's not big enough for that. But apart from that, it is quite a diverse. You've also got farming. You've got the government services as well. So you've got national parks, you've got big roads or the road authorities of all the states. You can even be a politician, but politicians exist everywhere in the world. Okay, so there's a lot of job variety that you can apply for. Okay, number 8. Oh, can I count? No, I can't. Number 8. Okay, qualifications. So a lot of qualifications from Europe and the United North America are recognised in Australia. A lot of those from probably India and China are probably not, because they're, especially India. I did watch a YouTube documentary on Indian learning institutions, and they say that a lot of them, a lot of results are derived. So maybe that's influenced that. But stuff like IT and that is still recognised. That's what I think anyway. I didn't research this, so I don't know. But anyway, just research it and ask the immigration if your qualifications are recognised. If not, then there is a way to get it translated into a recognised education. Like if you got a degree, you can get it transcribed so it's recognised as an equivalent in Australia. And number 9, this doesn't apply to just Australia. It applies to a lot of places around the world, and that is that we have good infrastructure. So if you want to travel somewhere to go to work, you can get the bus, the train, or a taxi. Well, now it's pretty much Uber, or tram as well, but they're more limited. But also, more important is the road infrastructure. So if you have to travel a fair way, which transport, it takes too long. Like if I want to go to my current work, it would take probably about 3 or 4 hours to get there. But if I was to take the car, it would only take me about 45 minutes to an hour. So the road infrastructure is good, and that's comparable with pretty much Europe. I would say most of Europe, probably Japan. Yeah, definitely Japan. Taiwan, Hong Kong, now China. China's pretty much developed. Vietnam is catching up. Thailand is also catching up. Malaysia. Probably in South Africa, it might be equivalent. Probably equivalent to Botswana. Most of Africa, not. So anyway, those are the 9 reasons to come and work in Australia. And I keep thinking, which way do I look? This way? Do I look that way? Do I look that way? Because I have no idea. This is just a learning experience, because most of my videos are like, hello.